The God of Hammers, Mjolnir, has been carving a deadly path across the universe. Therefore, the Marvel Universe must come together in Thor's defense. But will Thor's allies survive the hammer's blows? And if worse comes to worse, who will Thor turn to when all else is lost? Thor issue number 22 brings together all Thor's allies and friends under the leadership of Beta Ray Bill in an attempt to save their friend from the wrath of Mjolnir. Donny Cates does a spectacular job in this issue in making Thor feel extremely helpless, and he does this in such a great way that in turn us, the reader, are able to feel the same helplessness, and that's always a plus because it brings us to the same level of Thor's well-being, and it helps us to connect with the story, almost as if we have as much to lose as Thor does. Whenever someone like Beta Ray Bill or Iron Man are shown getting smacked around, we care and we feel concern. Now, of course, when it comes to Donny Cates, you can bet your bottom dollar that the man can write dope-ass arcs involving fathers, and that's exactly what happens here. I love the arc between Thor and Odin, and how throughout Thor's life, he's had to suffer the consequences of his father's actions, and or creations such as Mangog, Donald Blake, and currently his hammer. I'm glad Cates was able to address the fact that Odin, though extremely powerful, regularly fucks up, and that he's not perfect. And so for Odin to give his son peace, telling him that, he's his greatest creation, it definitely felt earned and quite moving. I know for me personally, I definitely felt a connection to this moment. And now with Odin gone, and gifting Thor the fullness of the Odin Force, I'm hyped to see how Thor takes on the God of Hammers. When it comes to the book's art, again, Nick Klein nails it in both tone and atmosphere. The amount of mud and effects he puts into his work truly does the comic wonders. It gives off this grittiness that's desperate, and you can sort of feel this unearthed wrath that Thor is feeling. In general, it's great stuff. Overall, Thor issue number 22 was another fantastic issue to this God of Hammers story arc. I'm curious to see how Thor handles Mjolnir going forward, along with where this will take Thor when it comes to Donny Cates' overall story that he's obviously forging. Thor issue number 22 gets a 9 out of 10. Issue number 22 starts things off with a rallying cry from Asgard's Master of War, that being of course Beta Ray Bill. Now seemingly word has been spread across the realms regarding Thor's hammer being compromised. With the slaughter of the dwarves and the destruction of Broxton, the situation is indeed dire. Therefore, Beta Ray Bill is bringing together an army consisting of Thor's allies and friends, the Warriors of Asgard, the Fantastic Four, Lockjaw, Doctor Strange, and several others. Because right now, both Odin and Thor have fallen, and the only way to save them and to prevent further death is to come together as one. For today, the thunder dies. Meanwhile, we switch over to Broxton, Oklahoma, where Thor is currently fixing his arm that he busted back in the last issue, where we saw his arm literally get torn from the inside out when colliding against Mjolnir. Now, we also learned in the previous issue that Mjolnir, the Storm Mother entity trapped within, is being possessed by Mangog, which is another one of Odin's creations/sins. And Mangog, in case you guys don't know, is all about death and destruction, specifically towards Asgard. Basically, he is Thor's doomsday. And so from here, she begins to attack both Thor and a wounded Odin. But upon doing so, Thor's friends show up and they are ready to kick some ass. However, the only issue is the fact that Thor knows that none of them stand a chance. No one from Beta Ray Bill to Wolverine or even his mother Freya, none of them can help him win this fight. And it's clearly apparent when we see Mjolnir and her electric body take out all the heroes simply by spinning the hammer like a whirlwind. Thus, as a result, she brings down the thunder, causing chaos and injury across the battlefield. And because, she's a living hammer, she's referring to all the superheroes as nails, which is pretty fucking rude, but it does fit the situation. So, yeah, good one. Now, while everyone is getting their butts handed to them, we see Thor on his knees looking desperate, and he feels completely useless right now, because no matter how much he or his friends try, the only result he'll get is death. And upon seeing friend after friend getting smacked around like the elves and the men of Numenor in the beginning of the Fellowship, which, is a fair comparison, Thor begins to pray. He starts begging for power so that he can protect those in need. Power so that he can save his dad. and within a few seconds, Thor's prayers are answered, to which we see a tornado of impeccable power and rage take control of the battlefield, sort of serving like a barrier to keep Thor's friends outside while he and his father and Mjolnir are trapped within. Following the creation of the energy tornado, Reed, being the curious scientist that he is, begins to study the situation, and he makes it clear to everyone that this tornado isn't behaving in any natural way that tornadoes typically act. Essentially, we should all be dead since we are standing so close to it. Plus, given its power and its intensity, it's safe to say that this force is impregnable, and no one on Earth will be able to break through it. But Freya then joins in, revealing to Reed and to everyone that Thor did this so that he could protect them. And she goes on to say that Thor is more than a hammer. He is a child of Midgard. Although I raised him, in truth his birth mother is Gaia. And that's what takes us inside the tornado, where we see a powered up Thor having a standoff Mjolnir, and Thor is being straight up with her, asking his hammer on why she did this. Why did you kill so many in spite of me? To which the Storm Mother explains that she used to bleed across the galaxy. She used to bleed across the stars, and that once upon a time, she was beautiful. She was hot and sexy. But more importantly, she was free, until Odin came eons ago and trapped her. For Odin enchanted me, and he used me, treating me like some friggin' toy. But it wasn't until Mangog opened up my eyes, where he taught me that the gods deserve a reckoning. Thus, both her and Mangog began unraveling all of Odin's toys. They began to free them, toys such as Donald Blake, for they let the devil out of the playground. However, Thor assures her that she has yet to meet any devils, but that will soon change, because I will become a devil to you. To which we see Thor activate his new powers, causing a rock slide to fall on the Storm Mother. And while she's trapped, at least for the time being, Odin in the background begins to have a heart-to-heart conversation with his son. And he tells Thor that Mjolnir is right. Everything that has happened, everything that I've made, is causing others to suffer. Therefore, my mistakes, the sins of my past, must be undone. However, Odin is sure to mention that his greatest creation was in truth Thor. Now, Odin admits that when he passed the throne down to Thor, deep down there was still so much he wanted to do. He wanted Freya to see him again, as some kind of hero, some sort of savior, someone who she could love again. Therefore, Odin kept the Odin Force. But we learn that the only way to pass down the Odin Force properly is if Odin dies. Thus we watch as Odin sacrifices himself, giving himself up to the heavens so that Thor can inherit his full power. And through this transfer of power, the birth of a new Thor occurs. Thor then denounces Mjolnir's wrath. And with Thor all decked out in some new sexy looking gold armor, Thor proclaims that it's time to put the hammer down. And that, folks, was the end of Thor, issue number 22. And thank you guys for checking out my video, as it truly means the world to me. And as always, I'm your majestic slayer of words, SuperCliff. And if you guys are new to the channel, then do me a solid by smashing that like and subscribe button. And also hit the notification bell so that you'll never miss out on an upload, and so that you'll always be kept up to date with your favorite top tier comics happening in the comic book world. Now tell me, what are your thoughts and opinions on this issue? Are you guys excited for issue number 23? Let me know down in the comment section below. And until the next video, peace.